This is for anybody that rides a 2024 through 2026 ZX6R. If you do not know how to do your own oil changes, stick around, watch this video, and let me teach you how. When you do your own oil changes, you save about 50% than what you would pay at a dealership. So this is about the easiest thing that you can do for yourself. It really doesn't take very many tools, not a lot of experience. So the ZX6R has made it super easy to do oil changes. Your oil filter is in a really easy spot to get to, and then your oil plug is right underneath. So super simple. Over here are all the tools that you're gonna need, all the supplies. Obviously your oil pan, you need a funnel, oil filter, some hex keys, and then you want a 17mm socket. And that's really all that you need. Now the first step is just to put a towel down. You never know if the oil is gonna spill out awkwardly, so just to protect the ground, make sure you put a towel down there. First step is just gonna be to put your oil pan right underneath your drain plug. It helps if you have a wheel stand where your bike can sit up a little bit taller. Makes it a lot easier to slide that in there. The next step is gonna be to take your 17mm socket. You're gonna place it right over your drain plug, and then you're just gonna loosen it up and let the oil drain out into the pan. So we've got our wrench, we got our socket all set up. Now we just gotta break the drain plug. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Doesn't look like it. All right, we got the drain plug loosened up, so it should just come off nice and easy now. Once you got it loosened up, you can just take your hand and kind of thread it yourself like this, and then the oil is going to start to drain here into our pan. And it doesn't look like I put a washer back on this, so got to make sure I do that. So as you can see, oil is coming out. Just got to let that drain out for a little bit. All right, so as we're waiting for the oil to drain out of our bike, obviously you want to be looking for some metal shavings potentially. This is the second oil change that I've done. I had the 500-mile service done, and I'm about at 1,800 miles now. So I like to do my oil changes pretty often, just because I do ride aggressively sometimes. So it's much better for your engine if you do the oil changes more often. Don't do the 5,000, 7,000 miles that it recommends, especially with these bikes. Obviously, you're going to be pushing the limits a little bit more than some of the other ones. So the main part is getting the oil drained into there. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to find the oil filter. And what's nice about the 2026 ZX6R is your oil filter is actually right there. So on my 650, it's all the way underneath here, and I would have to do some fairings, take some of those off, unscrew some of them just to get access to it. So this is a nice place, but all you have to do is twist that off. It's going to start to drain out. I like to put some towels here to make sure the oil doesn't get on it. We're going to catch that oil, and then we've got our extra filter over here. All right, so all of the oil is drained out into our pan. The next step is to take out the oil filter. I've already loosened it up. It helps if you have a air filter wrench, but I had to use this bad boy just to get it loosened up. I'm gonna go ahead and use my hands now. And don't forget to use some towels to try to cover up any of that oil that's gonna spill up in this area. So that's why we got these over here to the side. All right, so as you can see, I've kind of just put a towel here to try to catch as much oil as possible from draining onto the bike. I had to go back in and loosen it up just a little bit more, but I've got it now with my hand. So I'm just gonna dig in there, make sure my towel is kind of set where I want it to, because you know as soon as you pull this out, the oil is going to start leaking. So, oil filter's out. As you can see, there's still a little bit of oil drain in there, so that's why we've got our towel there. Just going to take this and put it off to the side on top of our other dirty towel. We're gonna wipe off any of this extra oil. By the way, you can get these yellow towels at Costco for very cheap. It's like a 48 pack for $20 or so. You might go through 2 or 3 every time that you do an oil change, but it's worth the money. So as you can see, the oil's still kind of draining, so I'm gonna try to be quick here. I'm gonna come over, I've already got my new oil filter right here. All right, so I just twisted on the new oil filter. Make sure that you put a little bit of oil on the inside of it. Make sure you take a little bit of oil and you also put it on the rim of it. Now, I probably had my oil filter a little bit too tight, so I went ahead and hand tightened this one. I'm gonna go back and tighten it just a little bit more, but not too much more than what I had. Okay, now that you've got your new oil filter on and all of your old oil has drained into the pan, you're gonna go back in, you're gonna add a washer to where your drain plug was. You're gonna put that on first. You're gonna retighten your drain plug with your 17mm socket, and then you're gonna start to put your new oil back in. All right, so this is what your washer is gonna look like. Make sure that you put that on your drain plug. You wanna replace these every time that you do an oil change. So just slap that bad boy on just like that, and then you can start to put this back on. So I've got it all there on the drain plug. I'm gonna hand tighten it as much as I possibly can. Then I'm gonna go back. I've got my 17mm socket already ready. I'm gonna go back and tighten this now. So as you can see, we've got it nice and tight there. Now we can go back in and we can start to add in our new oil. All right, so now you're gonna come over to the other side of the bike, and this is where you're going to unscrew your oil cap. It was a lot harder than I thought. But anyways, you're gonna unscrew this here, right here, and this is where you're gonna put your new oil in at. I've got my new oil right here. I've got my funnel. I'm gonna go ahead and just slide this bad boy right in there. And I'm gonna start to add in all my new oil. And I like to use the Valvoline 4-stroke motorcycle oil, the 10W40. According to the manual, it takes 3.1 quarts of the oil. So this is 1 quart right here. So I've got my other 2 over there. And then I'll probably have to grab a 4th one and just add a little bit more before I go out riding later. I've got my funnel all set up. I've got the filter there in the bottom. All I'm gonna do is take my oil and start to add it all in. That's one quart down. We've got quart number 2, quart number 3 here. All right, so you gotta let this kind of settle in a little bit. You wanna wait maybe 10 or 15 minutes before you're gonna fire up the bike. Just let the oil all soak in and sit in. But after I'm done letting this drain through, I'm just gonna add my oil plug back on this, and your oil change is completely done. It's gonna take your cap, you're just gonna tighten that back in. Like I said, you're just gonna let your oil sit there for 10-15 minutes before you fire up your bike. And then a pro tip, your old oil, if you have a container that you can put this into, you see that it's got a spout there. If you take that to any AutoZone, they will dispose of the oil for you for free. Don't just randomly throw it in a trash can, that's hazardous. Take it to your local shop and they will dispose of it for you. But congratulations, you are done with your oil change.